Okay, so welcome to day number 6. Hello, Velvet. Of our employment planning workshop. Today we will be talking about the interview process, and you might consider tomorrow is like a very informal or unstructured interview when Nolan is here. So what did you get from Nolan regarding what does he look for in hiring people? Because I know everybody watched the video. Did you watch it, Velvet? Were you here?
No,
Okay. Who didn't watch the video? Okay, good. Who did watch the video? All right. So what did Nolan say he looks for when hiring people?
sometimes it's that quirky person.
Okay, I don't remember that.
What I got the most is
Maybe I'm talking about a different video.
you have to be. It's okay to be spiky in the workforce.
Yeah.
Innovation
Right.
is never.
Well, I think he was talking about that was advice to other employers, right?
Right. That's
But there was a point where he said, let's see, wait a second. Maybe it was a different video. So that's maybe- Let's see, where do this So tomorrow, you should treat as if it's a very unstructured interview. And we need to try to get more people here. So Phyllis, whatever you can do, and then when Sherry comes back, she'll again try Salvation Army. But anybody has any ideas? I'm pretty sure people from Casa Grande who are looking for jobs can come here and as to just kind of kick the tires and see if they want to come to school. That's how it used to be. You could just come here, and I think Scally's going to be here. So might be worth trying to get everybody here, because this is a thing that you will remember. You will remember this for the rest of your life. The opportunity you had with him. And he's going to be judging, just that's because that's what we do, right? That's just part of our genetic makeup, is this fight or flight gene, right? Does anybody not know what that is? Fight or flight? Dominic, do you know? What is it?
In a situation where you need to either attack or fight.
Yeah, so Lisa, so humans are predisposed that when we get into uncertain, highly stressful situations, like when we're scared, we either going to do one of two things, fight or run. Okay, that's what we do. Okay, we fight or we run. And we usually fight when we can't run, when we're in highly stressful situations, not a plan, not a premeditated thing, but just we get surprised by something, our adrenaline starts flowing, and then we stop having a rational mind. We respond instinctively, and it's fight or flight. So as that happens, we develop as people to be in any situation we're in. We just kind of, when we meet people, it's, are they friend or foe? Do I like this person or not? We do that not consciously. And that happens how fast?
Seconds.
Yeah, within seconds. Within, the latest things I've read is less than 5 seconds, we start forming opinions. And we saw a TED Talk, I don't remember who it was, but she said, might have been Amy Cuddy, it might have been Duckworth. She said, people start deciding whether they like politicians, whether they're going to vote for a politician within seconds of seeing their picture before they even know anything about them. So we are always forming opinions, judging people. Do I like this person? Is he following, tracking, and what's happening? And so that's a thing that Nolan will be doing tomorrow. Bonanno cannot be here tomorrow. I forgot, they're opening the restaurant. Trattoria Reggiano opens tomorrow. Their official grand opening is tomorrow. So he won't be here because it's their official grand opening of their restaurant up in Summerlin. But otherwise he'll be here, so it could be a good practice run. What everybody should do is be prepared, because this is an opportunity to get with somebody who has been very successful. Most people would like to invent a game like Pong, right? Something that everybody knew. And in 72 or 68 or whenever Pong, somebody do a little Google thing, and when was Pong invented?
I think it was 67.
Okay, well, let's just do a Google thing.
It was on the video.
Let's get in the habit. Okay. So when that came out, everybody in this country knew of it.
72.
72? Okay. So when Pong came out, everybody knew. It changed life for everyone. Does anybody here remember Pong other than me? Okay, Eric.
I didn't play it.
Okay. So it changed everything. Before that, what were games? What kind of coin-op games were there? Coin-op games.
Pinball.
Pinball.
Yeah.
And pool, the shuffleboard thing with the weights.
Yeah.
Okay. That was games inside, that was coin-operated games. That's what they were. the skee ball. Remember that? Okay, those were games. When Pong came out, everything changed. Life changed. And Nolan decided he was going to take it from the bar, because he grew up wanting to be a carny, worked in carnivals. And so he understood that mentality of people. How do you get them to do ring toss and stuff like that? People having fun, enjoying games that were fun. How do I go from there into the house? And he came up with what? He invented a company, or started a company called Atari, and they did what? What was their first or their second really big thing? First thing was the coin-op video game. What was the second big thing? The in-home.
Yeah, the home console.
Yeah. What was it? Atari 2600 or something. They came out with that. That changed everything, because there were people that had electronic games in their homes before. Anybody remember Operation?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, that's an electronic game.
Really?
Okay, yeah.
I'm
'Cause if
just
you-
thinking back, it's like, seriously, you know?
So when Atari brought the game system into the house, that changed everything. And then the idea was, well, wait a second. If we can play games on this thing, what else can we do? What else can we do if we can play games? How about word processing? Spreadsheets. So Atari was on the way to being, wow. Okay, so we're not going that direction. So what about, so Atari was on the way to bringing computers. It was a computer, but it was a game. It was on the way to bringing things into the house before Microsoft was even started, before Apple was started. So what happens if Atari had become first in word processing and spreadsheets? What would the opportunity have been for Microsoft? They might not have ever started, because this was before Microsoft. This was years before Microsoft. Microsoft started because there were computers, but they weren't really designed for normal people. So they wrote code so that IBM could get in the microcomputer business, the personal computer business. But what would have happened if Atari had done the same thing for word processing and spreadsheets that they did for games? Because they wiped out the pinball machine business. That was gone. No more pinballs. They changed the coin-op business completely. Now, what if they had gotten into, word processing and spreadsheets and stuff that Microsoft did and that Apple did? Huh?
We'd have had Atari would have been.
Yeah, there probably would not have been a Microsoft. And Steve Jobs came later. Steve worked at Atari. Nolan is not as elegant as Steve, but there might not have been room for an Apple because Nolan is way more creative than Bill Gates. Hello, everyone. So Nolan is way more creative than Bill Gates. So there might not have been an Apple. Well, what happened to Atari? Nope. Well, that might have also been what happened, but what changed things? Nope. Huh? Nolan was gone by then. Sold it. Nolan sold Atari to Warner Communications. So it became Time Warner. And his thought was, that, hey, I was able to take Atari from nothing to here. Now I'm big shot, but Warner has all of this experience in publishing. One of the first things for home computers was encyclopedias. Anybody remember Encarta? Microsoft's. They have CDs. It was an encyclopedia on CDs. And the idea was this thing could be kept updated regularly because people buy encyclopedias or go to a library, there's encyclopedias. They're usually really old and they have updates. But Nolan figured, hey, if I can partner with Warner, we take the good stuff that Warner has, long-term history, this library of content, this distribution network, retailers everywhere, movies, movie theaters. We take Warner, Time Magazine, we take Warner's resources, and we take our new technology and we combine them, we will have world domination. And so one of the things that Nolan talks about is if you have a new product and nobody else has it, you're first. If your goal is not world domination, what's the point? In other words, go big or don't do it at all. Don't think I'm just going to have this little thing. And that's what happened with Atari. We changed life as we know it. Okay, so what happened when Warner got Atari, you had a lot of people who were well educated come in and say, it's our money, Nolan, you don't know this business. Let us do it. Yeah. But he didn't anticipate that they were going to say, you know what, Nolan, you're a creative guy, you don't really understand big business. We do. We've been around. It's our name. It's our money. When we want your advice, we'll ask you. And at that time, he wanted to be the first American to win the World Cup, or the, what's the sailing one? America's Cup. He wanted to be the first, no, it was always won by America. He wanted to win the America's Cup. Sailing. He was off sailing. Well, pretty shortly thereafter, he figured out it's not going to work. So they can run it. We'll see. Maybe they'll make it work. Maybe they won't make it work. My personality and their personalities are not going to match. Well, he sold it and he was there. And then they said, well, it didn't work out. Personalities didn't work out.
They still had it.
They owned it. He got a lot of money. By those standards, he got a ton of money. By today's standards, he got nothing. But by standards in 72, I think he got like $28 million. That was like $2 billion. Except he kept one thing. But what happened with Atari is you had the professional engineers, MBA guys get in, new territory. They tried to use old techniques in a new business, and Atari went out of business. They lost everything. Anybody remember Coleco? Or no, there's a Commodore. Commodore 64 became the first home computer. Keyboard, like cartridges.
At the time when I had it,
They eventually sold it also.
Time Warner sold it to
Huh? This is some guy. And you haven't really heard from Atari ever since. Okay? So Nolan decided to keep this little prototype project he'd been working on. And he always liked games. Always liked games from the time he was a kid. He's working on a prototype project at Atari. Take some of the stuff he knew. And what was the last thing he said in the video that he wants to get involved in? Robotics. And he decided, I'm going to combine games, robotics, food, into a place called what? Chuck E. Cheese Pizza Time Theater. Now, what is Chuck E. Cheese? What is the mascot?
A mouse.
Yeah. So he might tell you that originally it was a coyote, that he bought a coyote outfit at a show. But I think people, I don't remember the story exactly, but that people thought it was a rat. But it was really, he thought he was getting a coyote. It just looked like a rat. So, but he kept this idea, Chuck E. Cheese's Pizza Time Theater, which is machines, robot machines like a Disneyland, combined with food. And what's in a Chuck E. Cheese Pizza Time Theater? A lot of coin-operated games. So that was kind of the master idea. And they went from about 0 stores to over 200 stores to 0 stores in about 2 years.
Yeah. Zero stores. Act zero stores?
Yeah.
All of our.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, Chuck E. Cheese, why did Chuck E. Cheese go bad? Same type of example. You start with a good idea, and what would happen is people were coming every 2 weeks with their kids. Because it was a place for parents. You could let your kids run around. You could be sitting there with other
You can
parents.
still see Chuck E.
Yeah, but that's after they went through bankruptcy. Because they still ran it. So the idea was this is a good place for parents, kids, cool, interesting. So people were coming really frequently, like once every 2 weeks. And then, as we get used to stuff, what happens? You start coming less often. Well, the professional people came in and said, that's because you don't do a good job cleaning up after people. We need to have more cleaners. So payroll went up. And people still didn't come back more often. And they said, well, the quality of the people isn't that good. We need to improve the quality. So now food costs went up. So all of the, in quotes, professional people, the experts, were coming in and telling him this, and he was still sailing, pursuing that thing. They're out selling franchises. The franchise sales started dwindling. And then you had the hotshot people were seeing my store is having less revenue. I need to jump ship because this is going to be my career, right? I want to go this way. I don't want to be the last rat on the Chuck E. Cheese ship. So now you had high-level people leave. And what it turned out was none of those were the problem. It wasn't that it was too dirty. It wasn't that the food wasn't good enough. It was just that people aren't going to keep going every 2 weeks to the same spot. And they went through bankruptcy. And then the franchisees bought it. Now you see them out there. And it's not the same as it was when it came out. It's not like, oh, God, it's Chuck E. Cheese. That's how it was when it came out. Been to Chuck E. Cheese yet? Like when Dave and Buster's. Been to Dave and Buster's. They now have it that, people will come here once a year. Just focus on birthday parties. And we get people to come here once a year for a birthday party. And as this kid gets to be old enough, they'll come to Chuck E. Cheese. And everybody will have a birthday at Chuck E. Cheese. We have a good business. We don't need to have a Chuck E. Cheese on every street corner. So,
He's been involved in that?
no, he's not involved in Chuck E. Cheese. Not involved in the target. They might pay him as a consultant type of thing, but he's not part of it.
Do those have to go with royalties?
Well, I don't think he gets or got royalties. Yeah, there's the copycat company. So, we're going to talk about interviewing in a second, but or get back to specifically the interviewing thing. But this is the guy who you're going to be dealing with tomorrow. A guy who's able to come up with ideas that are 2 steps beyond what people are doing today. Not 1 step, 2 steps. They're at that point where the typical person can't imagine the next thing. People didn't imagine video games before Pong. Well, actually, there were video games before Pong, but they were lousy because they tried to be electronic versions of pinball machines. Pong was a different game. Pong was me against you. In pinball, you take your turn, I take my turn. You take your turn, I take my turn, or I just play against the machine. In Pong, it was really the first game of you're on that side of the table, I'm on this side, and we're playing against each other, and it really is about skill. Pac-Man, same thing, except it wasn't me chasing you, it was you take a turn, I take a turn, but it was not an electronic pinball machine, a different type of entity.
What was the success rate? I can remember like 1904.
Well, what's the question?
How successful was it? I mean, that was like, for us, I did not know one.
Well, okay, so at a point in time, I was the president of a public company that had 5,000 video game boxes. It's the largest operators of video games. Sort of how I met. And I got to meet the president of a company called Bally. Anybody heard of Bally?
Fitness?
So Bally was originally a pinball machine manufacturer. And they got into licensing games. So their first really great game was called Pac-Man. And there's Pac-Man. And their second great one was called Ms. Pac-Man. And they had other ones. They had a lot of other ones. But I got to go meet the president of Bally back in Chicago, where their headquarters were. Nice big office. And he said, his name's Chuck Fisher. He said, this is me. He said, Ed, last year we built 85,000 Ms. Pac-Man. We sold 85,000 Pac-Man. You know why? And I said, yeah. It's easy to learn, hard to master. Adults like it. It's like it appeals to both. It has that chase thing going on. And I went like that. It has that chase thing going on. And he's just looked at me like, not impressed. Just kind of that blank stare that Andy Cuddy and Duckworth did. He said, no, sold 85,000 Ms. Pac-Man machines because we could only build 85,000. We could have built 150,000 Ms. Pac-Man, we would have sold those. But we can only build 85,000. So that all flowed because Nolan figured out a new type of game. He did the same thing for the pizza parlor business. A new type of food entertainment experience that other people have done, including Dave and Buster. Yeah, there's a lot of them. A tremendous number. Nolan's problem, if he had one, would be every day he has a new good idea. If you have a new good idea every day, it's hard to stick with a good idea you had yesterday. Right? You're going to have a new good idea every day. It's hard to do that. So the thing that he's most proud of today, well, maybe not, that I know of, is Brain Rush. And you might have seen, he said there's a 10 times, you learn 10 times faster with Brain Rush than you do normal school learning. And so today, when we go to Southern Desert and meet with Director Cox, head of the Nevada Department of Corrections, I will say hello from home. And we meet with Deputy Director Foster and talk about what do we need to do to help people when they get out of prison obtain stable, meaningful employment. Nolan is going to talk about you need to have something like Brain Rush. That you need an educational tool because people need to be able to read, writing, and math. Typing, if you can't write a sentence, what good is typing? Right? Everybody agree with that? If you can't do math, how important is knowing how to do Excel? You can't figure out and stuff like that. How important is Excel? If you can't communicate, You know, why would you ever need to have a PowerPoint presentation? You can't remember stuff. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And in a sense, we will be being interviewed by the Department of Corrections. And Nolan will have to persuade them, and using Nancy Cohen's thing, to frame the stakes of the moment. Why are we here? Why is this important? What do we need to do? If he's effective in communicating that, what do they have to do? They have to change, right? Okay. So when people watch him, is that the first thing? Oh, this is really old. I'm going to tune out because I've got other things to think about. Okay. So that's good information. Now, so interviewing. Who doesn't like selling? Okay, so Joe, you do. Joe said he doesn't like selling.
Depends if I believe in the product or not.
Okay. So Joe's not going to be a lawyer.
That is true.
We can talk about that, about how lawyers overcome that, how they justify selling things that they don't believe in, like a guilty client, because they're supposed to sell a guilty client, right? Anyway, we're not going to talk about that. Most people don't like selling. Why do we not like selling? That's the excuse.
We gotta beg somebody.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we go back to our connectome, our neural network, the neurons and the connections in our brain. And we have these little things that we were taught when we were young, that if this was a computer, it would be a subroutine. What's a subroutine? What's a subroutine? Okay, so a subroutine in computer programming is a program inside a program. So if you're going to have a video game, you have the main game program, but you have a sub-program that might run the coin collector to drop money in, or the clock for the game, or how many lives you have used up and how many you have left. So a subroutine is a routine that is a program inside of a program. So when we're kids, we are taught things, right, by our parents. You know, don't breathe out of the exhaust pipe of a car, right? Okay, we're taught those rules. Okay, one rule that we're taught by our mother generally is no. What does no mean?
No.
What does no mean? Don't do it. What else?
No.
Stop.
Don't say.
No, stop. Whatever it is you're doing, no. Stop. Stop asking me the question. You know, don't go into that room. Don't leave my side. No means stop. So in our brain, our non-conscious brain, no means stop. If you're selling and somebody says no, what does your subroutine say? It says stop. Your subroutine says stop. You're not even conscious of it. We're not conscious of it. But that's how we're brought up. If no meant stop when we're a kid, on a non-conscious, non-thinking about it, no means stop. Now, you might say when the guy says, no, I don't want your product, it's too expensive, you might go back to the boss and say, you know, our product sucks, it's too expensive. You're not upset about that. You're upset because you're trying to do something and you keep, internally, you're telling yourself, stop. This little voice that you can't even hear is whispering, stop. That's why it's very important to make sure you don't do negative talk to yourself. It's like driving a car with one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake. You have to be committed to doing whatever it is you're doing. You can't go into an interview and have this thought of, I know I'm going to blow it. That doesn't work. You have to be telling yourself positive things because you will believe, your brain will do what you tell it to do. So if you are operating on a subroutine that says stop, how are you going to feel at the end of every day? How are you going to feel? You're not going to feel good. It's like, man, this job sucks. That's why people don't like telemarketing. It's not because they're talking to people every day on the phone, because if you reframe it, if you have this thing, I get to talk to 100 new people a day. How many people get the opportunity to do that? Ellis likes it. See, he had his hand raised. Most people don't think of it that way. They don't think that, what is it that bothers me? What's the phenomenology behind this? And there's this subroutine that I was told as a little kid of no. No meant stop. What's another subroutine that we grew up that we don't think about? Has anybody ever been told don't talk to strangers when you were a kid? Anybody ever told that? Moses, were you? Okay. Most people were told don't talk to strangers. Now, so when you're doing telemarketing, who are you talking to? Okay. If you're going door to door, who are you talking to? Strangers. If you're selling cars, if you're doing most types of sales, who are you generally talking to? Strangers. But there's a subroutine going on in your head that says what? Don't talk to strangers. People who are good do a reframe and they say, this person's not a stranger, they're just a friend I haven't met yet. That's what Telus does. He has no fear, no hesitancy, no reluctance to do it. Another guy that's very good at that is who, Phyllis? No, not him. Who? John Johnson. John Johnson will call up Sheldon Adelson, one of the richest guys in the world, and expect that he's going to answer the phone. He will call the governor. He'll call the lieutenant governor. He'll call senators. And you know what? They talk to him. Yeah. Okay, so that's a thing, but I'm talking about something a little bit different, which is we are brought up being told certain things, and unless you go back and say, you know what, I need to change that subroutine. Okay, that thing I was told as a kid, no, in selling, no, in selling doesn't mean no. It means they just don't know. I didn't do a good job talking to them about the features and benefits or why they should have this product. They don't believe me. So they're not going to believe me when I tell them to do this. What did I do wrong? How come I didn't get that sale? Good salespeople say, if Lisa has the money and she needs this product, if she doesn't buy it from me, it's because she doesn't know that the right answer was yes, because I let her down. Okay? Because I didn't do something right. Bad people, or people who don't like to sell, don't know that, and all they're left with is this. They're left with no. Hello? Okay. 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 Got it. See you soon. So, people who don't like selling still are being controlled by these subroutines they learned as kids. And the Romans, more than 2,000 years ago, had an expression, which is the child is parent of the adult. What we learn as children is what forms us and shapes us as adults. So if we go around and we don't change these subroutines, these beliefs, basic beliefs, that we don't even think about today, if we don't change those are going to be what our brain, non-consciously, is going to be functioning on. Okay? But if you think about it, if an interview, what are you fundamentally doing in an interview, in a job interview? What are you fundamentally doing? Okay. Selling yourself. You have to persuade them to hire you. Now, if you start the premise with, I hate selling, well, how do you feel about selling yourself? Oh, that's selling. I hate it. I don't like doing interviews. Oops, not good strategy, right? Not a good strategy. We are always selling something. We're always selling, mostly we're always selling ourselves. What if you go through life with a bad reputation? What are you not able to do? Pretty much almost anything if people need to trust you, right? Okay? What? Because you're not able to do what? You're not able to sell that you're trustworthy. That's why not good do bad things and get a bad reputation, because it makes it harder to sell yourself. And that's what we're fundamentally always selling. People who are effective and people who are successful are good at getting other people to do things they need and want. That's what people are good at. If you go in and, like Stephen yesterday, you just start making off-the-wall comments that are not based in any kind of reality, right? Does everybody know what I'm talking about? What's the result going to be? Are you going to be a leader? Are you going to get people to do more, better things that they could get themselves to do? Not intentionally. You might become a better parent because you say, "Wow, I'm not going to beat my kids at all, because every time I think about it, I remember that guy. I don't want to be him." So I think that the key thing is to be, as part of the interview, is to be aware that we are always selling ourselves. And if you start from the premise of, I hate selling, you're setting yourself up for failure. And by setting yourself up for failure, that means when it's over, you say, see, I told you, I knew I wasn't going to be able to do it. You can't go into a situation that way. Here, our goal is for people to become competent in a skill. And when you become competent in something, how is your confidence? Does it go up or down? Your confidence goes up. If you're competent in a thing, your confidence goes up. The more energy you put into typing, the more confident you're going to be. When they say, what is your typing speed? You're going to say, what, Velvet? 96. You're going to say 96. If, is that negative talk? What is your typing speed, Eric?
Well, actually, it's low.
Wait.
Okay. 25.
Okay, just get in the habit. And another thing in the interview that's very important as part of selling yourself, if somebody asks you a question, don't give the warm-up. Well, it's 25. Wait, like a hand grenade. Wait to see what the response is. If the response is, that's not really impressive, what would you say next? Well, that's on the right track, but that doesn't hit home hard enough. 4 months ago, I was at 6. No, I wouldn't say that.
No, don't say that.
No, I would just say, somebody said, what's your typing speed? Today it was 25. Oh, not really impressive. 4 months ago, I was at 6. Wow, you've improved a lot. That tells me a lot about yourself. And one of the things is you have a level of confidence. When you start doing the wind-up, how does that reflect on confidence? It's kind of like you're making excuses, right? You do the, today I have a new keyboard, my left foot hurt, because I had a pebble in it. I was walking today and I noticed that. And I need to get a new pair of shoes because this style I don't really like. I prefer Adidas, but I'm wearing Nikes right now. And you're going way out there, right? These are things we normally do. It's not like the normal person is boom, direct to the point. This is what we experience in life. Is people are not direct. So the people who have confidence, they usually get ahead because people can trust them. People believe them. So just be short, direct type of stuff. So in the interview, you're right, wrong, or indifferent, whether you like it or not, you're selling yourself. So if you don't like selling, most people don't, but it's not because of the selling part, it's because of the subroutine part. Maybe you had a bad experience and you got embarrassed at some point associated with the word no. You need to go back. This is what psychotherapy is fundamentally about, is going back to memories that you have, and beliefs that you have, and realigning something different. Now they have it, it's much more highfalutin and complicated to psychologists because if it was that easy, people believed it was that easy, everybody would do it, right? But when you believe something is hard, that gives you an excuse to not do it. Now here's the last example. There's a book called Fatal Shores. It's a book about people that got shipwrecked. True stories of people who got shipwrecked. Going back as far back as they can have. They found somebody's diary, they were a pirate. If you were a pirate and you did a bad thing, generally they'd say, okay, well, we're not going to kill you because you were a good guy once, but what we're going to do is we're going to put you on this island with your chest and give you a pistol with one ball, a little pistol with one ball. And oftentimes guys would use that for what? Kill themselves, yeah. So what they found was the more religious you were, the worse you did on a deserted island. Because what were the noises in the jungle at night? Yeah. No. If you're a highly religious person, you hear in the middle of the night something howling in the jungle. That's some kind of evil spirit. Or that could be the devil, or it's a ghost of somebody who died there before. And so mostly the people who killed themselves were the people who they just couldn't take being on a desert island by themselves. The guys who did the best were people that were like indigenous people who a barrel would wash up, they'd figure out how to take the barrel apart, turn it into a saw, kind of like Pisces, right? You can take anything and take nothing and turn it into something, right? Take a garbage bag and you make a shopping bag out of it, right? You know what I'm saying? Okay. So they can, does anybody else know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
okay. So they can take anything and they can make stuff. You give them a piece of soap and what do they make?
MacGyver do that?
Huh?
MacGyver.
Like MacGyver. So the people who did the best on these islands were guys who didn't have all of these other beliefs going on. It was just, okay, that sound means there's an animal out there, which means I could probably hunt it, kill it, and I have what?
Yeah.
Food, more tools, clothing. I have a lot of stuff. Go out fishing. This sound of in the wind making noise. I turn problems into solutions. People who have all of these preconceived, pre-programmed beliefs. There's evil spirits everywhere. Do very poorly when they're on an island like that, unless they somehow do a reframe. So when you're in the interview tomorrow, when Nolan is here, or any other interview that you're in, the thing to do is you've got to go in and say, I'm selling myself. That's the most important thing to sell. And I really know my product. So for the people who said, I can sell things I believe in, what do you do if you don't believe in yourself? Right? Everybody should believe in themselves, right? So you should look at it as an opportunity to go in and sell the thing that you love the most. Sell. So guys, tomorrow we're not going to have this class at 10. We're going to have it at about 9 when Nolan is here. All right? Any questions in California?
Any questions? Anybody? Okay, so you're going to start tomorrow, you said at 9?
Yeah, I think it'll be around 9 o'clock. It depends, what time he gets here and whatever else. But the objective is to start at 9.
Okay.
And to talk about important stuff.
That's
And
important stuff.
we really want to make sure that everybody has their resumes done, because Nolan knows a lot of people, and he lives in LA. So there's real opportunities there, and there's opportunities here too. But so my point is, just because you're not going to be watching live, it doesn't mean that it's not something that's important. It's not something that you can't contribute to, and it's not something that's going to change your life. So let's be prepared for tomorrow every way possible, and we're selling ourselves. Okay?
Okay, so correct. We'll be able to watch but not participate. Is that correct?
You'll be able to ask questions.
Okay, all right. So we'll pick up about whenever you send the invite.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So let's make it fun.
All right.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Okay. All right.
Okay.